taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's a pain-free Friday. Ferrall's doling on minutes on the mahogany, waxing it up. 100, 200, the bad seed, the broken, the bad, apple with a bad attitude, hammer. Bad at a rat, say bad, law, bad, do, bad breath, bad attitude, bad vibes. We are live in the Magic City Studios in the Ferrall Appalachian, right across the river through the woods from where Granny loves her 8-ball Kush Indica in New York City. The Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directed traffic, some kind of fashion shake it up, do I'm up in the flat, party up, rats on the west side, bed bugs uptown with a message tied to Teddy splattered all over Manhattan, yeah. And what I see is a light at the end of the tunnel, just a freight train coming your way, hey, yeah. Hey, what's gigging? I'm Ferrall, along with your boy, Carver High this afternoon. Mafia running it with Luke. I am Milvada. The birthday roll call, Peter Kvitova, 34. Mark Burrell, 41. Juan Encarnacion, 48 with Hines Ward. Kenny Wheaton, 49. Torrin James, 50 with Steve Sarkisian and Mike Moriarty. Pat Riley, 52. I don't think it's the same guy. Bob Bogner, 53. Jason Elam, 54. Kenny Smith, 59. William Fuller, 62 with Sean Gale. Buck Williams, 64. Jim Rice, 71. Don Werner, 71 as well. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. So the trade deadline is over. It ended at 3 o'clock Eastern. There are last-second deals coming in. We'll go through all of it, including Gensel going to Carolina. Carver High just told me Hurdle moved from San Jose, I think, to Vegas is what he said. There's all kinds of guys. LeClaire from San Jose went to Tampa. Toffoli ended up in Winnipeg from the Devils. A bunch of real, frankly, average deals. I think the Tarasenko deal is probably the best deal in terms of the Panthers getting him for the playoffs. What that guy's done in the playoffs is insane. In like 97 playoff games, he has tons of points, goals, assists, experience, and they're already a dangerous team. So we'll talk about all the player movement later. Elvis is in the building. Denny Bernstein from the Fourth Period in NHL Radio on Sirius XM. He'll join us to break it all down and set you up for a big weekend in the NHL. We got live conference tournament games going on as we speak in College Rack. Indiana State, under a minute left, 75-57 on Missouri State in the Missouri Valley. William and Mary at the half up on North Carolina A&T by 5. Winthrop, the 4 seed against the 5 seed in Longwood. And, of course, this is in the always exciting Big South tournament. High Point, the top seed against the 9 Radford. High Point won it 77-63. Bottom of the hour, Belmont and Northern Iowa in the Missouri Valley. An hour from then, Hampton, the 14 against the 11 Elon in the Colonial. It is all day long, all day while we're on the air. Even the Southern Conference, Citadel and Mercer. And then right at the end of the show, Akron and Western Michigan tip off. So does Charleston Southern and Asheville in the Big South. That's a Big South Conference tournament game right there. So we'll keep our eyes on all of that. Live, Arnie Palmer going on down in Florida, Bay Hill. We'll get you updated on the golf leaderboard in the Sunshine State. The Nuggets beat the Celtics. We had the Nuggets yesterday on Coast to Coast. We took them 115-109 over the Celtics. Remember, they beat them twice. They beat them in Boston, and they swept the season series by beating them at the Ball in the Mile High City. Joker with another triple-double. We got him finding Aaron Gordon. Did you see Gordon's throwback dunk? I tried that move today playing basketball at Carver High. And when I swung my hand in the air, I was only able to touch halfway up the net. I was not able to touch the rim anymore. I used to be able to dunk. Those days are long gone. Mafia makes fun of me that I'm fat now and old and have no legs and can't dunk. Mafia dunks easily. 6'5", 240. He lifts his toes up and dunks. We have Michael Malone talking on the show today, plus Morency from Vancouver per usual. The Mavs beat the Heat 114-108. Luka with his fifth straight 30-point triple-double. He cried the entire game. At one point, I thought he was going to pick up the ball and throw it at the ref's face. Did you see him at the half chase down the ball? And he was angry, and he was going to grab the ball and throw it at the ref like he probably did when he was a kid, because he still behaves like one when he plays basketball. Listen, I don't deny his greatness or that I like wearing his shoes, but I have never seen a superstar player cry more than that guy in my life. I've said this 5 million times on his show. It is aggravating watching him play. Like, have you ever seen anything like it? The way this guy just never stops. He never stops. He's never guilty of anything. Did you see him last night? Oh my God, I got a call. Did you hear him? They had him on mic underneath the basket when he finally got to the free throw line. He goes to the free throw line, the third most free throw attempts in the NBA this year. He goes to the free throw line like you go to your refrigerator. Jason Kidd talking about Luka's greatness. Should talk about how much of a B he is. NBA MVP odds, we got him. You know, the NBA wants him to be the face of the league, too. Simple as that. They want the white boy. That's what they want. This is Larry Bird all over again. They got to get a white guy as the face of the league, don't they? They don't know what to do with all the brothers. They really don't. They don't want to give Tatum anything. T-Wolves beat the Pacers. Did you see the end of the game? Anthony Edwards literally smashed his head on the rim, swatting the Pacers' final layup away to seal the deal. Cat surgery on the knee, out at least a month. The Bulls beat the Warriors. We gave you the Bulls yesterday with the 8 points against the Dubs. We got a DeRozan sighting. Curry left with a right ankle injury. Kings beat the Spurs. Close game, though. Spurs covered. Nets beat they lost to the Pistons, 118-112 in Detroit. How embarrassing. Suns beat the Raptors, didn't cover. Phoenix will host the 27 All-Star game in the Valley. How boring will that be? I mean, the Super Bowl was like literally, I've had more fun at funerals than being in that city for anything. I mean, honestly, you can quote me on that too. Tell everyone in the Valley I said so. There's nothing to do there. What do you do there? Sit in your air-conditioned car? I mean, what do you do for fun? Go golfing in 100-degree weather? Yeah, thanks. I'll pass. Tonight's NBA games, we'll break it all down for you, including Orlando and the Knicks. Miami and OKC, probably the best game of the night. Milwaukee and the Lakers, they'll make that the best game, though. Anything LeBron's involved in will be the featured attraction. And we'll talk about college hoops from last night. Number 5, Arizona did what they had to do. 88-65, all over, smacked that ass UCLA at Pauley. Washington won at Pullman. I think that shows me that Washington State's a phony. You can't beat a 17-win Washington team in a rivalry game in your building. It's embarrassing. Colorado beat Oregon. The Ducks, they don't matter at all. Altman needs to go in Eugene. Oregon State, we said, would cover against Utah. We didn't think they'd win, but they did. We got everything for you. Colgate, BU, Bucknell, Lehigh Advance, and the Patriot. And we'll go through all those games. Plus, Coach Young on a lion's share, Davis Maddock. We'll talk baseball today and Carver High history. We'll get you set up for all of today's games, tonight's games to bet on. We'll talk about the trades like Gensel to Carolina, all the moves in hockey. You name it, you'll get it. And I said before, our boy Denny Bernstein later. It's a Friday, pain-free, coast to coast. Go with us. Boston's going to the NBA Finals, and at this point, I'm still willing to say this early that they're the best team in the NBA, even better, in my view, than the Nuggets.
Barkley, for me, I say the front runners would be the Dallas Cowboys and or the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think Jerry might get in on this and say just make it happen and get Saquon on our football team.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Women's basketball, as a coach, as a basketball purist, is so much better to watch than the men. You don't believe me? Sit down, watch it for yourself. Think about the fact that the athleticism is different. So now you have to depend on your fundamental and your skill and not through athleticism.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The books are treating the Celtics 4 points better at minimum than maybe every single team in the NBA. And so far, I believe they've covered every game since the break.
The Celtics' strict goal here, anything less than a finals appearance and a finals championship is going to be a failure for the Celtics. They got all the pressure in the world across the board here.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
5 minutes, fellas. 5 minutes.
Appreciate it, man. Oh, okay. You getting that bet in before the boom, huh?
Yeah, LA all the way.
What? Oh, come on, man. You know it's Boston, baby.
KG, I understand why you said it, but it's LA.
Jay, are you serious?
You know what? It's LA.
Why are you standing up?
Because it's LA. You know what? You ain't scaring me. Let me tell you something. That ain't
It's
enough.
Boston, Boston, Boston.
It's LA.
All right, so back on C2C, I wanted to tell you it's the most unbelievable thing that I've ever seen. The way BetMGM has been giving away this money. I mean, it's just something else. I've tried to figure it out. I've tried to understand it, comprehend it. I've looked into it. I can't explain it. I can't even express. I mean, the community, the gratitude, the gratefulness of all of the citizens that they are just going out on a limb right here, like on a tree bark. They are passing out 150 in bonus bets to everyone just to be blessing the community. It is just unbelievable. Use the bonus code SG150. You got to sign up, though. You got to get the BetMGM mobile app, and you get it on iOS or Android or at BetMGM.com. Sign up with an account, $5. Just open your account. Boom. Then place a bet, $5. Standard odds on anything. You can bet on golf. You can bet on NBA, college basketball, hockey, whatever. Bet, win or lose. Like, you can lose, and they're still giving you 150 in bonus bets on your app immediately. Like, you make the bet, and boom, you're getting 150 in bonus bets. Use the bonus code SG150. You'll find out real quick how wonderful these people are, and then you'll be in bed with them forever. It's just fantastic. By the way, the SportsGrid app, it's going toe-to-toe with BetMGM in terms of popularity. It's like one of those NASCAR finishes, by a nose. Like, I don't know who's in the lead. I think it might be SportsGrid. It's free. That's the difference. You just have to download it on iOS or Android. Follow your favorite hosts like Carver High. You get everything, highlights, videos, odds, in-game odds. You can watch the network. You can listen to the network. It is unbelievable. It's the best app going in sports, the SportsGrid app. All right, Carver High, the trade deadline. You know the bevy of names that have moved to new teams in the NHL today? It ended at 3 East.
It certainly did, Scotty. And I want to talk to you a little bit about this Hertl deal going to Vegas, because we talk all the time about how Vegas is able to pull these things off and get these players and go over the cap and put guys on long-term IR. They've really done it again here with Hertl. Now, here's the entire deal. San Jose will get back Vegas's first-round pick in 2025, so next year. They got this kid, David Edstrom, who was Vegas's first-round pick last year. They get a 3rd and 25, a 3rd and 27, and they're even going to pay 17%. San Jose is going to pay 17% of Hertl's freight, so he'll be on the cap for 6.75. Hertl had minor knee surgery in early February, Scotty, but he is doing well, and they expect him to be back for the playoffs. So they don't even have to put, as usual, that 6.5 on the cap right now. They'll shuttle him right to long-term IR, right next to Mark Stone, and they'll get both of those guys back when the playoff starts. He's got 6 years left on his deal, too. He's 30 years old.
Well, I mean, I don't deny that I thought the guy used to be a really good player. I just haven't seen that from him in a while. Okay, so he's been out in San Jose, and so if it's just the knee that you're talking about that changed his game from productive to unproductive, fair enough. But I remember when Hertl used to score a lot of goals, and it seems to me like those are days long gone.
I mean, look, he was an all-star the last couple of years. He had 67 points a year ago on the worst team in hockey, was having a decent, okay year. I mean, the numbers dropped a little bit. He had a couple 30-goal seasons when they were making the playoffs. Numbers go down when your team sucks. I get that. You put him on a team like this, that's a great deadline for them. Hanifin and Hertl for the Knights. So they will very much, Scotty, be in the mix. As you know, honestly, other than that today, I mean, not a lot of earth-shattering stuff. Again, you have a lot of depth moves for all those big teams at the top who are trying to win, whether it's Florida getting Kyle Oposo, Boston got Pat Maroon. Now, Maroon's won a lot of cups, Scotty. 2 in Tampa, 1 in St. Louis. So he goes there to Boston, and he'll be with all those other guys. And I know he don't matter anymore. He's a fourth-line grinder type. But he's a pain in the ass in the playoffs. And that's the one thing that he is. He really torments guys on the other team. So that is going to matter. Duclair goes to Tampa as well. Tyler Toffoli to Winnipeg. So that's a good score for Winnipeg, Scotty, that they needed to boost their offense a little bit.
I don't deny Toffoli can score goals. I don't think Leclerc does anything anymore that I'm afraid of. I'll just say this. Like, I don't deny that Hertl is, and has been good. Okay, fair enough. So, and he'll probably help them at some level. I think the Hanifin deal is bigger for them. I also do not believe they're repeating as Stanley Cup champions. I saw evidence of it last night again when they lost at home to Vancouver 3-1. They look pathetic. They do not look like a Stanley Cup champion to me anymore. They got their, you know what they remind me of? The St. Louis Blues. They won the cup and they got their rings, and now it's just a party. I play in Vegas, whoop-de-doo. I get to, go down to the Strip and sit with all the tourists and spend $25 a drink and go see a show. I mean, I really do not believe they're winning the Stanley Cup again at all. And in fact, I have 5 teams in front of them, at least, that are better than them this year. This is not about, they won it all, so they're going to win it all again. The Penguins did it. Teams have done it. I won't deny it's happened. Do they really make you believe when you watch them play that they're Stanley Cup champs again? No way. You're going to tell me that. Christ, I think your Islanders can beat them.
I would never back the team to go twice in a row. I think it's an extremely difficult thing to do, especially in the NHL. I think it's very hard to do. So even though they've added some guys, 90% of that team went through the long grind last year. And the West is so tough, Scotty. It's such a bear when you think about Colorado, Edmonton and McDavid. Winnipeg's really good. Dallas is really good. I find it hard to believe they're going to beat 3 of those teams.
In front of them. All 4 of them that you mentioned.
Like, think about it. They're going to have to beat, because they're not going to finish in first. They're probably going to have to beat 3 out of those 4 teams just to get to the final this year. That's how tough the West is going to be.
You put Edmonton, Vancouver, Winnipeg, and Dallas. And Dallas is better than Winnipeg. Now, I know they beat Winnipeg last year, and I wouldn't be surprised Vegas could beat Winnipeg again. Hellebuck might have something to say about that. But those other three teams, they're not beating.
I think I don't quite put Vancouver past them yet because I think Vancouver's still young and they haven't done this yet. And I think they're going to get a little learning lesson this spring. But Colorado, Dallas.
They just beat their ass last night.
They beat their ass in a meaningless March regular season game. I think in a 7-game series in the playoffs, I think it's going to be a lot tougher for them to beat them. But Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg, and even Edmonton, I think that those are the problems that they would have in when we get to playoff time.
Like that Vancouver team made deals a month ago that made them better.
Yeah.
They didn't wait till the end. They did it early, and I think they're dangerous. I mean, Morency goes to see them play. They're a dangerous team. They're different.
I'd love to see them go on a run. I got a fat ticket on Vancouver back in November at like 35-1. So I'd love to see it. But I think that they're the young team out of that whole group of tough West teams.
And I'll tell you
I think it's going to be able to live with them. Yeah.
I mean, the Rangers, Carolina, Boston, all three of them, in my opinion, can give if they were to, if Vegas were to somehow make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, I'll take those three teams too. I want to hear Bernstein tell me that they're winning the Stanley Cup again, and he's not going to say that. He ain't saying that.
I don't think he is. I don't think you're going to get that from Elvis today. And I'll throw Florida in there as well. You said Rangers.
Oh, yeah,
Boston,
Florida. Florida's better
Florida
than them
will put in there
as well.
Florida's better than everybody right now, too. So, going to be a lot of fun.
But they lost to them, right? That's who they lost to in the final.
Women's basketball, as a coach, as a basketball purist, is so much better to watch than the men. You don't believe me? Sit down, watch it for yourself. Think about the fact that the athleticism is different. So now you have to depend on your fundamental and your skill and not your athleticism.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe not a match that we thought would be the most enticing 6 months ago, but Newcastle, they are kind of on the ropes. They looked awful against Blackburn in the FA Cup.
Lamine Yamal's been the stand-up player, a guy that's 16 years old, a guy that was drafted in from La Masia, from the academy. It says a lot, really. It says a lot about the really poor standard of the rest of the players this season.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca, only on SportsGrid.
I think Boston's going to the NBA Finals, and at this point, I'm still willing to say this early that they're the best team in the NBA, even better, in my view, than the Nuggets.
Barkley, for me, I say the front runners would be the Dallas Cowboys and or the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think Jerry might get in on this and say just make it happen and get Saquon on our football team.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
So, in a few hours, no one knew, that it's like the next day in UAE or wherever they're doing it, Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia. I can't keep track of all these deserts. All I know is that Francis Ngannou is fighting Anthony Joshua in you heard me, boxing event. There's such a thing called boxing in this world. That used to be a sport, and long ago it evaporated into thin air. Now what we're offered is Mike Tyson against Logan Paul in July on Netflix, and Ngannou against Joshua. Morency joins us from Vancouver, and it sounds to me like you're betting on Ngannou.
I am going to take a shot with Ngannou. He's plus 250 as of right now. There's been a little bit of movement. Overnight, last night, Anthony Joshua was minus 300. He's up to like minus 330. Minus 340 right now. This is Francis Ngannou's second boxing match. Of course, his first match was against Tyson Fury, and he really shocked everybody, right? Everybody sort of looked at it as somewhat, like you said, Scott, there's a lot of these gimmick fights right now. It doesn't mean that boxing isn't still thriving. I mean, there's boxers making big money. There's big-time fights, but there's a lack of American boxing stars, right? Like boxing is huge in Mexico. Boxing, they could fill up Wembley Stadium in England. Boxing's big in Germany. And now the Middle East have just sort of come in and taken over and buying all the big-time fights. So this isn't a gimmick fight. This isn't Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. This isn't a 58-year-old versus a 27-year-old. This is Francis Ngannou, who has the strongest and heaviest punch ever recorded in world history. All right, so he's, we have the heaviest puncher ever, and I don't care if it's boxing, I don't care what gloves you're wearing. This guy can freaking throw, and you got a great athlete in Joshua. So we're kind of at this point now, Scott, where, the crossover type stuff, we're never going to get the old school Sugar Ray Leonard and Hitman Hearns and Marvin Hagler stuff, those type of rivalries. It's a new world now, but this is an interesting fight, actually. Like, I don't watch all these gimmick type of things, all right? But I am looking forward to this. And I think Ngannou has a chance, actually. Listen, man, anytime you're in the heavyweight division, you've got a chance. But Ngannou's the real deal, all right? Like, he's got a chin. He can move. He can throw. He's improved now with his combos. Before, he was just sort of against Fury. He was a little, all right, I'm going to swing. I'm looking for that one shot all the time. I think we're going to have a real boxing match here. At plus 250, Scott, I think he's worth a look. What I do like, though, is I like the over 6.5 rounds. All right, they went the distance with Fury. I'm expecting this fight to go the distance. I don't think Joshua's going to knock Ngannou out. Ngannou could possibly clip Joshua, but probably not. But I think he could knock him down. So get this. Against Tyson Fury, this is off the top of my head, bro. I think he knocked him down twice, right? Like, he didn't knock him out, but he put Fury on his ass a couple of times. And it would not surprise me at all if he drops Joshua at some point, at least to a knee. He catches Joshua off guard, and because it's hard to knock someone out with these gloves. So, to me, plus 200 that Ngannou scores a knockdown. That's all he got to do. He's got to win the fight. All he's got to do at some point in a 10-round fight, he's got to put Joshua on his ass at some point. I think he can. And conversely, it's plus 162 that Ngannou will not get knocked down himself. And I don't think he will. You know what I mean? He might get dominated, Scott, in the corner sometimes. He's not a boxer at times. Joshua might ambush him a bit. But he's a big man, bro. We're talking about a 6'5", 265-pound dude. All right? He's not easy to knock out. And he's been hit before. Fury tagged him. He's been lit up in an MMA cage before. Ngannou has a chin. For a big dude, the guy can take a shot. So let's go over 6.5 here, rounds in a fight. Ngannou to win at plus 250. Ngannou to score a knockdown at plus 200. And Ngannou not to get knocked down at plus 162. A lot of plus money there. And I'm going to win money as long as Ngannou doesn't get knocked out in like the first 5 rounds.
That's not happening. First of all, I think Joshua's been a massive disappointment as a heavyweight, big-time fighter. I don't think he's done a thing. And I think his chin is way susceptible to this guy's bombs. And I'm not going to be surprised at all if he knocks him the F out with one punch and he don't get up. And let me tell you another thing. You and I were at, and you're right about Ngannou. This guy is literally he's a mountain. I mean, the guy's a mountain. He's in there. He's so enormous. He can't be hurt. I don't think anyone could hurt him. But listen, I just confirm this to me. We were in Vegas at the Super Bowl, and we were at the Mandalay Bay, and Teofimo Lopez fought, and he is what many would describe as a young superstar in boxing. And I mean to tell you, more people wanted to stand in line at Starbucks and get a coffee than they did want to go to that fight. They had signs all over the Mandalay all week that he was fighting some guy that he had fought before. And then not only that, it was the worst promoted fight in history. No one knew about it. No one wanted to go. No one did go. And then to top it off, he got beat in that fight. That kid beat him flush, and everybody knows it. And the fight was fixed, and they gave him that win, and it was a joke. Don't tell me that boxing is anywhere in the States. It's not in Vegas. It's deader than a doornail. It's in a coffin. You can't even tell me a good fight in Vegas. Ever.
I hate to break it to you, though. The United States, there's a lot more to the world than the United States, bro.
Well, that's fine, but Vegas is where every fighter wants to fight.
No, it isn't.
Don't tell me
no,
some guy wants to fight in Germany.
It was
They all want to fight in Vegas.
Evil Knievel's dead, bro. Muhammad Ali walking through the door. Vegas is not the fight capital of the world. Montreal, Quebec has more boxing events than Las Vegas, Nevada does. Point blank. Point blank. You want to talk about like a boxing capital? Montreal is a boxing
Nobody wants to go to a
capital.
fight there. Everybody wants to go to Vegas to fight. Everybody.
No, but who? Like, where are all the big fights? The big fights are in England. The big fights are in Europe. That's where the
big
promotions
fights.
That's where the money's
The big
at.
fights are gone because the PBC, the Zone, and all of them. Al Heyman, HBO, Showtime, Espinosa
Okay, exactly.
went
But
out
do
of
you
business.
think,
the
Scott?
business is dead. It's dead.
So do you think? So is Canelo Alvarez's money counterfeit money?
Canelo Alvarez is fighting a bum in whatever May. They just
He's
announced
got hundreds
it
of
today.
millions of dollars.
He's
got hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, of course
Ryan
he does.
Garcia.
But he's
Ryan
fighting
Garcia's
a
made
bum
over $100
no one's
million.
ever heard of. No one's ever
They're
heard of
fighting Haney.
him.
No
No one's ever heard of
nobody.
him.
You're saying nobody, Scott. You're saying nobody. People in the fight game do. You guys didn't know Ngannou was fighting today against Joshua. People do know.
I knew that Ngannou was fighting. I didn't know it was today. I thought it was Saturday.
No, but I'm saying that
it's
people.
Saturday there. I knew he was fighting.
No, but I'm saying that people in the fight game, people that like this stuff, it's like, honestly, how many fighters can you name right now in the UFC? Like that are fighting on the card tomorrow? Not many of them.
But
right?
that sport's way more popular than boxing now. It kills it.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. It's not about the names, right? The UFC's doing well. So my whole point is, listen, boxing, it isn't on the cover of, it's not going to be on the cover. Well, Sports Illustrated doesn't exist anymore. So that's the whole point, Scott. We're in a new world right now.
Boxing used to be about names and big fights. You just said it.
But that was the 70s, bro, in the 80s.
Hearns. Now we got bums fighting. Now we got MMA guys fighting boxing guys. Now we got Mike Tyson fighting an influencer. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, but that's not boxing, bro. That has nothing to do with boxing, right? That's a circus. That's not like the WBC. It's not like the WBA. And it's not like some boxing federation going, hey, you know what? This is our best fight that we have. No, it's a clown show. You know, this goes back to, and Larry Merchant, may he rest in peace, Scott. This goes back to Larry Merchant. Remember when Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor? I asked Larry Merchant before the fight. I said to him, I had him on the show, and I said, Larry, what do you think? Is this, because, same thing. This is a black eye for boxing. right? This is a disgrace. Floyd Mayweather should never be fighting someone like Conor McGregor. And I said, Larry, what do you think about this? Is it a black eye for boxing? He goes, Gabe, a lot worse things have happened in boxing than this, right? And I thought it was good luck. But what he said is, he said all these fights, basically, he goes, these sideshow type events, he goes, they put a tent up. He goes, nobody is putting a gun to your head to go into that tent, right? And that's what these events are like. It's not for everybody, but I tell you what, obviously somebody is watching and people care. Otherwise, they wouldn't be paying the Ganu $10 million to show up tonight. Joshua wouldn't be walking away with $15 million tonight, right? So there is an interest to this stuff. But in America, I'm not going to dispute it. But I hate to break it to America. There's a world outside the United States of America. I hate to break it to people.
That's fine. But listen, I went to the Mayweather-McGregor fight.
It's like the Super Bowl, bro.
It was
like
embarrassing,
the Super Bowl.
is what it was.
Like the biggest thing ever on TV. Dude, more people watch an F1 race than watch the Super Bowl.
Let me tell you something. You're right about that. But I was at the fight, and they sold that fight like McGregor landed a punch early in the fight, and that's what everyone was talking about. That McGregor did so well because he landed a punch, but he got dominated by Floyd Mayweather in that fight. That was one of the worst fights I've ever gone to in my life. It was a complete rip-off of the public, is what it was.
One thing I'll say, though,
I was there.
They give the people what they want. It's almost sort of like politics. You get what you deserve in this world, right? It's sort of like the same type of thing. They give people what. If you took two of the best skilled boxers in the world, and one of them was from Germany and the other one is from Uzbekistan, people in Las Vegas don't care, Scott. People in America don't care. People in America want these circus sideshows. People talk more about a Jake Paul fight than they do a real boxing match.
I think people want good fights. I don't care where it is. They want great fights with great fighters. And boxing doesn't give it to us.
People don't pay attention to that, though. They want sizzle.
Women's basketball, as a coach, as a basketball purist, is so much better to watch than the men. You don't believe me? Sit down, watch it for yourself. Think about the fact that the athleticism is different. So now you have to depend on your fundamental and your skill and not your athleticism.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe not a match that we thought would be the most enticing 6 months ago, but Newcastle, they are kind of on the ropes. They looked awful against Blackburn in the FA Cup.
Lamine Yamal's been the stand-up player, a guy that's 16 years old, a guy that was drafted in from La Masia, from the academy. It says a lot, really. It says a lot about the really poor standard of the rest of the players this season.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca, only on SportsGrid.
I think Boston's going to the NBA Finals, and at this point, I'm still willing to say this early that they're the best team in the NBA, even better, in my view, than the Nuggets.
Barkley, for me, I say the front runners would be the Dallas Cowboys and or the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think Jerry might get in on this and say just make it happen and get Saquon on our football team.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
So just to wrap that up, I just said to Morency when we were done, and Carver High heard me, I got invited to go to the Keith one-time Thurman fight with Sue in late March in Vegas. And I was like, oh, yeah, Keith one time. That was the one time I went to watch him fight. It'll be the last time I go to watch him fight. Can you imagine they invite me to a Keith Thurman fight? No offense to the people at the boxing that have been bringing me there for 35 years. But, I mean, Christ, I have better fights with my wife. Honestly, my dog and I have better fights than watching Keith Thurman. Keith effing Thurman, they tried to bring me to Vegas for? Are you kidding me? You know what? Mafia knows I've gone to Vegas for fights and never went to the fight, partied instead. That would be a fight I'd end up in the casino, never make it over to the fight. I'd be drunk playing craps or free bet blackjack with Carver High, and we'd both decide 30 minutes before the fight that we were going to get drunk instead and keep gambling and not go to the fight. End of subject. And I'll say it again. Teofimo Lopez is so overrated, it's not even funny. He lost to that bum at the Mandalay Bay, and they gave him that win. People were throwing beer bottles. It was such a bad decision. All right, Carver High, don't get me started.
We won't get you started, indeed. Let's get to some of the NBA for tonight from last night because I want to get to tonight's games. I will tell you, Irish Bear leads at the Arnold Palmer. Willie Z is in second, along with Russell, Don't Call Me Don Henley, and Brian Harmon. There's a host of others that are 2 or 3 shots back as we look. A couple of the big names playing like absolute losers today, Scotty, including Rory, who I'm done with as well, betting on him ever again. Celtics and the Nuggets last night. Of course, a very hyped matchup. The team that's favored to win it all against the defending champs. Well, Nuggets got him again, 115 to 109.
Cover.
How about the Joker? How about that's a cover? That's right. How about the Joker again? 32, 12, and 11 getting involved last night against Boston. And how about this? I think you talked about this play earlier. The Aaron Gordon dunk towards the end of this game last night. A thunderous one here, TNT.
2-point gain. Jokic a couple of spins. Jokic the hook. No! He leaves it for Gordon! What a pass! A hook pass!
This is incredible right here.
So yesterday, I said that they had to get Gordon and Porter involved in this game. I also said the Celtics have no answer for Joker at all. They can't put that stick, the zinger, on him. That's like 125-pound difference. He'll mow through that skinny B like he's not even there, like butter, and score at will. I don't deny that Porzingis makes the Celtics better and he can shoot from outside, but that guy can't stop a guy like Joker from doing whatever he wants in the low block. He's just too big, too heavy, too much of a man. And Porzingis looks like he's 150 pounds soaking wet. So I bet on Denver. I hit on Denver. I know a lot of people around here had Boston. I'm so sorry that I get the bets right. It's very difficult for people to swallow whenever I do well. I know how they get around here. Whenever I hit bets, people start saying I'm doing things, and I'm so dirty.
I even saw Jaylen Brown after the game saying that he should have been guarding Joker last night in that game. I don't know how that would have went.
That's like having a mosquito on you. Like having a mosquito on you.
Brown actually had a big night. He had 41 for the Celtics. Nice effort from Jason Tatum, him and his 15 points last night in Denver. I'm not bitter about that or anything. Here is Michael Malone, the head coach for the Denver Nuggets. And why do we do this today? Apparently, Scotty, there was a lot of Celtic fans at the game last night in Denver. Malone had a message to them as they were leaving the arena.
Another playoff atmosphere for sure. As we talk pregame, you got to give the Celtic fans credit. They always come out strong. But you know what we say, right? They can take that L on the way out, baby.
You know what? Look, here's the deal. They beat them in Boston, and they never lose at home, and they've lost twice, and Denver went in there and beat them, and I told you they went in and beat them, and I said now they're going to go home and beat them because they're better than them. And then I also said there's your NBA Finals, Boston and Denver. They're the two best teams in the NBA. Everyone keeps trying to sell you all these other teams, the Clippers. The Clippers are never winning anything ever. They got a new building. Congratulations, you got a new building. Who doesn't get a new building eventually? But what they never have is rings. They don't have rings. And then they'll sell the Lakers to you until the last day possible, until literally June 15th. The Lakers won't even be in the playoffs, and ESPN will still be trying to sell the Lakers to you. But the reality is these teams, Minnesota is going to win the NBA championship. No, they're not. That's not happening. OKC, they'll say, oh, they're so exciting. And I love them. I want them to win. I want them to go to the Western Final. Are they too young and dumb to win the NBA championship? Probably. How do they stop this guy? Can you imagine Chet Holmgren, Abe Lincoln trying to stop the Joker? It's no different than Porzingis can't do it. Neither can that twig. And listen, what you said to me about Brown is the most laughable thing I've heard yet in the NBA this year. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. That little brother thinks he can guard that monster? I mean, son, you need to have some drinks or something. You need to go have a beverage or two and calm down. You can't guard that monster. He'll push you off like a bug. You're like a flea. You could score 41 all you want, but you couldn't stop him for 2 seconds. He would score on you at will and sleep with your mother.
I thought he was joking at first, but he was serious. He actually thought that he should have got on him.
Let me just say something. I'm old and washed. I got some guy 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", trying to guard me. Man, it is buffet day. And if you're 6'1", 6'2", I'm taking you to school. Mafia's 6'5". He scores at will on some guy 6'1". Like, it doesn't happen. This is the NBA. This isn't out in the park. I mean, what is this for idiots? Are we getting stupid around here? What are we talking about here? This little twig and the twig Porzingis and this little brother thinks he can guard that monster. Christ Almighty, the guy will score 90 points in a game. Shut up.
The Mavs beat the Heat 114-108. Luka Doncic, fifth straight game with triple-double, 30-plus points. And he's got 4 straight with 35-plus, which I believe was an NBA record. But there's actually something else, and this kind of keys into what you said at the beginning. He was crying a lot last night during this game. Again, there was a lot of crying from Luka. So Jason Kidd was very happy about him getting this fifth straight triple-double with the 30-plus, but he was also happy about another streak that Luka has going on right now. Let's hear from Kidd.
Luka's triple-doubles, I've always said this, we can't take that young man for granted. You're seeing something as rare as a Picasso. When he comes every night, he does something. I thought the three with, no time on the shot clock was, everybody just knows that he was going to make it. But those, that doesn't happen for everybody. And so he's special. And I think when you see him, no one's going to give him a compliment, but we got no tees in 2 games. We're rolling. And so
no tees.
You talk about the triple-double streak. I think we got no tee streak going. So
last night, without question, he deserved them last night. I thought he was appalling. Look, and I agree, rarely with know-it-all Chuck, but Chuck said it best. And I think that's the best basketball show on television. Fair enough. And but he said that this guy comes down the court and he don't pass to nobody. He just either shoots or eventually it's a one-pass play. They have no offense. They don't move the ball. There's no screens. There's no pick and roll. It's the Luka show. Every time they bring it up to court, he's a ball hog, and there's no denying Absolutely, and I never have denied his greatness scoring, his handle, his body, his size, his ability to get fouled, his ability to score from anywhere, and to make the right, when he pump fakes on a three and then throws it underneath to a guy for a dunk, it's magical. But I'll say this, I have never in my life seen a guy that good be such a B. Honestly, I have never seen a player that good. Michael Jordan never cried every night, all night long to the refs. He talks to the refs when, the other team has the ball and he's defending a guy. He's not even playing defense at all. He's still talking to the ref 10 feet away from him the entire game. He's ripping refs and shredding refs. He never stops crying. There is nothing worse. I played everywhere in my life, in the hood, in the park, in the gym, with Mafia, in leagues, in great leagues, on championship teams. I have seen great players, tons of great players. I've never seen a great player want that many calls in my life. Great players just score and light you up and do you. I've never seen a guy cry as much as him. I know I've said this repetitively on this show. It drives me effing nuts watching a guy play because he's too great. He's too brilliant of a player to be the biggest crybaby in the history of the NBA. I have never seen a guy cry as much as him in any sport at all, ever. And he's been around for about 5 years. And, it's only going to get worse as he gets older. And he should have been teched up last night twice, 3 times. He was cussing out refs the whole game. And don't even tell me I'm wrong. I watch more basketball than all of you. And I bet on more basketball than all of you, too.
That's why Kid was happy. No tees for 2 straight games.
He knows it, too. He knows he's a lunatic, too.
Kid knows it. Kid knows it as well. When he doesn't pass, when he does make the one pass, it's to Kyrie, who also isn't going to pass. So that's why there really is no offense.
Honestly, that team is ass.
Get rid of the rock.
That team is ass besides him. The rest of the team suck.
The T-Wolves,
really
T-Wolves beat the Pacers 113-111. Big night from Anthony Edwards, Scotty, who actually got hurt like a minute into the game, left, went to the locker room, and then came back and dropped 44 on the Pacers. But it was defense at the end of the game for Edwards that sealed it on Bally Sports.
To give Minnesota a 3-point lead. He missed it. Pacers are not going with a timeout. They advance the ball. Nesmith lays it up.
Oh, man. A defensive play as Nesmith was trying to get to the rim. Aaron Nesmith wondering what happened.
And it's Edwards with the block.
That boy...
What a terrible call of a great play. Honestly, that was like a funeral procession. That was an unbelievable block. He smashed his head on the rim. And you know another thing? Here you go. This guy plays and has 40-plus. He never cries once the whole night. He just plays. There's guys that do it, and then there's guys that cry all night. They just can't get enough of themselves, and they got to cry to the refs and get, if I don't get to the line 20 times a game, then the game's rigged. You don't see Anthony Edwards doing that.
You do not see Anthony Edwards doing that, that's for sure. And that had to be the Indiana call of the block. That had to be the Indiana guys who couldn't believe
You're right.
What was going on there. Karl Anthony Towns did get surgery on that knee. He will be out at least a month. So as we said yesterday, that is bad news for the Timberwolves. So they won without him. They won without him last night, that's for sure. They're going to have to continue to do that going forward. All right, we'll come back. I want to finish up just the 2 other games from last night I want to bring up. That's the Bulls beating the Warriors. How about that, the outright win? And the Kings-Spurs. Kings got a push from the Spurs last night, Scotty, even without Wembanyama. Needed a big performance from Sabonis.
Yeah, I would have got that bet wrong. San Antonio covered, and the big story out of the chase was Curry's ankle.
women's basketball, as a coach, as a basketball purist, is so much better to watch than the men. You don't believe me? Sit down, watch it for yourself. Think about the fact that the athleticism is different. So now you have to depend on your fundamental and your skill and not your athleticism.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe not a match that we thought would be the most enticing 6 months ago, but Newcastle, they are kind of on the ropes. They looked awful against Blackburn in the FA Cup.
Lamine Yamal's been the stand-up player, a guy that's 16 years old, a guy that was drafted in from La Masia, from the academy. It says a lot, really. It says a lot about the really poor standard of the rest of the players this season.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca, only on SportsGrid.
I think Boston's going to the NBA Finals, and at this point, I'm still willing to say this early that they're the best team in the NBA, even better, in my view, than the Nuggets.
Barkley, for me, I say the front runners would be the Dallas Cowboys and or the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think Jerry might get in on this and say just make it happen and get Saquon on our football team.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, so the Bulls got it done for us last night, getting the 8 at the Chase in the City by the Bay against the Dubs.
They certainly did. 125-122 was the final. DeMar DeRozan, again, Scotty, tough down the stretch. The N1 giving the Bulls the lead for good. NBC Sports Chicago.
Bulls down by 1. Here's DeRozan. The fake. The foul.
There you go. I mean, that was a great bet, right? I mean, simple as that. We hit it. And not only that, they won outright. They won that game in Salt Lake by a bucket, 119-117, and then they go win this game against the Dubs, and nobody saw it coming. Big spread. You and I were on the Bulls. Sorry, another big bet we hit for you.
They stole the game in Sacramento, too, before Utah down 15 going into the fourth quarter. So they've had a hell of a road trip on the West Coast, Chicago has. You mentioned Curry, though. The ankle injury, right ankle, did not finish that game. Something to keep an eye on going forward. Let's quickly also hear Sabonis. The Kings beat the Spurs 131-129. Huge night for him, and he finished it off on NBC Sports California.
Here comes Collins. Go screen. Domas, give me that. The hammer. Yeah!
What a dunk.
Domantas Sabonis with the defensive play of the game.
Yeah, my buddy had him. He needed him to have one more dime for the triple-double for plus $1.60, and he didn't get it. He finished with 9 dimes, but he had a huge night otherwise, 31-17.
Your buddy needed the overtime there. Needed that game to stay 129 up and play an extra 5 minutes for him to get that. Pistons beat the Nets. Nice job by the Nets last night in Detroit. And the Suns beat the Raptors 120-113. No cover. Though, for Phoenix, who will also host the 2027. We were worried about that. That was a big fat 10.5, and they didn't get it done. All right, we'll come back, and we'll get into tonight. Several decent ones, including Milwaukee and the Lakers. Giannis, LeBron, late night, Scotty, in Los Angeles.
Wow, a lot of fun. Going to Phoenix, you can go to the All-Star game. All the restaurants in town, you can get E. coli at. It'll be great.
Get the